you might have heard the news that in some places in America, gyms are already being given the green light to begin opening again. And even in some parts of Europe, restrictions are slowly beginning to lift on the lockdown situation over the next few weeks. So now is a good time to start beginning to think about your strategy for reopening your gym. And it could be in a week from now, it could be in 4 weeks from now, maybe in some parts of the world it might be 8 weeks from now. But you want to start thinking about it at least anyway. And there are three main considerations that we're thinking about at this time that I think are going to be pretty important. I don't think you can get into absolute specifics before you can actually reopen, but here are three general things that are going to come into the equation, I think. Number one, you want to think about what is going to be the general reaction from your audience or from your client base at least. So, when we poll our clients and just from seeing surveys and things all over Facebook, it seems like there's like three camps basically. There's three general responses to this. So if you surveyed your clients today and said, hey, we're opening back up next week, who's coming in? You'd probably get one of three responses. You'd get one group of people that would say, the core clients who are like, right on, I'm going to be there, can't wait. But you're also going to get another group of people who will be vehemently against it maybe and say, look, I don't think it's safe. I think this is too soon. I'm going to keep self-isolating further. And maybe those people have good reason. Maybe they have young or old people at home and they just want to keep things inside until it's really safe, and that's understandable. And then you're going to get a group somewhere in the middle. And this is probably going to be the biggest portion based on surveys and things people are doing, is going to be people that if you said that we're opening again next week, they would probably say, that's cool. I'm going to give it a week or so and see how it goes before I venture back out. And that's probably going to be the biggest group of people you're going to have. And if I had to guess, this is only a guess, but I have a pretty good handle on our clients. I would probably say you'd get about 10 to 15% in the first bracket. 10 to 15% of your clients are going to be right on, I'll be there tomorrow. You'd probably get, I think, about another 20 to 30% would definitely say no right now. And then probably that 40, 50% in the middle are the ones who might just want to get, are excited, but a little bit cautious and want to give it a couple of weeks. So it's important to maybe survey your clients right now and ask them, say, look, if we were allowed to open again in 1 week or 2 weeks from now, or whenever you think it might be for your country, ask your people, if we were to open in 3 weeks from now, would you, what would be your response? Would you definitely come back in? Would you not think it's safe yet? Or would you, see how it goes? And it'll be good to get a reaction from your audience, because this will also help with the next thing, the next consideration, which is going to be spacing requirements and limitations. So once you know the general reaction of your audience, then you can compare that to what the actual guidelines are going to be. Now, we don't know what the guidelines are going to be in different places, but we can look at places that are opening and get the general trends or clues. And I would probably imagine that we're probably going to be limited to groups of 10 people or so per group, no matter how big your facility is. I don't think people are going to let more than 10 to 15 people maybe in one building. So, and this is just repeating the trend of how we got into lockdown in stages. They're most likely going to just reverse it in the other direction. So right before lockdown, we were going from 75 people could gather in one area to 50 people to 10 people. It's probably going to go something like that in reverse. So what this means for a lot of you guys, if you guys are doing small groups or PT, then really there's no difference for you. You're going to be benefiting from this and you're going to get people back in faster, which is kind of ironic because it was PTs and small groups who were actually hit the hardest going into lockdown because their clients were the least likely to sign up online because they paid more money. But reversing the situation, you're probably going to have a bit of a benefit on the large group facilities because the people that really do want to get back in the gym and get back to routine, there's going to be probably a small group limitation. So you might benefit in that regard. And so if you have a larger client base, if you do larger groups, that might pose a little bit of an issue, right? Because if you have 200-300 clients or more like we do, but we do groups of 20 people usually, but now we're only allowed 10 in one group, that could potentially be a bit of an issue, because it's like, well, who do we let in? If everyone's equally paying a membership, who gets to come in? But that's why I said the previous step of surveying your audience, so at least you would know. And if my predictions are correct, I think no more than 10 to 20% of your audience, of your client base, will probably definitely come back in straight away. So that might actually negate that limitation. So, maybe you can only have 10 people instead of 20 in a group. So you're operating at 50% capacity. But maybe only 20% of your clients actually want to come in and will come in the first place. So it might not even be an issue whatsoever. I don't think people are just going to be flooding at the door to come in the next day. So just be mindful of that in case you're concerned about the limitations and thinking that, but we've got more clients and we do bigger groups than that and people are going to be upset. I don't think it's going to work out that way. And I think if you can do your best to encourage people to come in, then I think the trend is going to reverse. People follow the flock. So if a good 20% of your audience do start coming back in the first week, then I think that second segment, the larger segment of your audience, who are kind of on the fence, if they see people come back in the first week, they're more likely to want to get back into it and have that FOMO. And this brings me to the third consideration, which also, these are all tied together in one strategy, but the third consideration then is you have to really go out of your way, as do we in our gyms, everyone has to really show your clients and your audience how they're going to be safe. So that's the biggest concern people have, is they want to get back in the world, they want to get back to the routine, but they're afraid that if they do that, what if they then catch the illness? What if things go worse? What if it spikes up whatever again? So you need to really step up and show your hygiene and safety measures. What are you going to do in the gym to drastically reduce the risk of spreading the disease? And so basically this is going to be even more important now than it probably was on the lockdown. So just some tips and ideas for you there. Things that we were doing before lockdown when people were starting to move away from the gym is what we're going to be doing again. So, definitely, always cleaning every 5 minutes, all this kind of thing. That's obvious. One thing we're going to be doing though is I would recommend, if we're only training groups of up to 10 people, then you're going to have social distancing, obviously. So you'll spread those 10 people out 2 meters apart. Make sure you're following those guidelines. Another thing you want to do is probably give each person their own designated equipment. So rather than everyone swapping around circuits, or they can move around, but you probably want to keep people in the same place and have them give everyone their own set of dumbbells or their own kettlebell, and they can and program a workout that people can do without swapping equipment with each other. So that's going to help you with your cleaning time, and it's just going to be showing that you're following the guidelines. Another thing you can do is remember, the most at-risk things are surfaces like door handles and fridge handles and things like that. So what we will be doing is, for example, don't keep all your doors closed. If you keep your doors slightly open, like we would do this in our changing rooms and front doors, leave the door open a crack so people can kind of just like elbow it, or they can use their foot and open it, and then they don't have to press the handle. So these are little things, and you might even think they're a bit over the top, but the fact is your audience are going to be watching like a hawk because they're scared. The mass population is scared. They're watching Sky News every day. And so do these little things and then the final thing is then make sure you're actively showing people this. Make videos and show the public audience. Make videos. This is one of the first pieces of advice I gave a couple of months ago to my fitness clients. And I told to our FitPro clients, and I told them, you're doing all these cleanliness measures, but make a video and show people as content. And a lot of FitPros didn't understand the significance of that. But when they did it, and they got such good feedback that people were just relieved that they were taking all these measures and not taking it for granted, it did a lot for their kind of good reputation and the certainty people have in you. So all these measures I'm talking about, if you start spacing people out, if you start only taking 10 per group, if you give them designated equipment for that workout, if you keep doors open a crack, make videos and show everyone and put the content on Facebook and run some ads and promote that video to your local market and say, look, we're back open according to government guidelines, but here's 4 things we're doing to protect your safety. And just run an advert or get that video out there and show people, and people are going to be like, oh, wow, that's really cool. And the more you can do to alleviate their fears, then they start coming back into the gym and they'll start wanting to get back to normal. And when 20%, 30% start coming in, you then hit a tipping point and more of them will want to come back in. And hopefully, as the weeks go by and these restrictions lift more and more, you should be able to just fulfill that capacity without turning people away, essentially. So that's 3 considerations right there for reopening. Survey your clients, number 1. Ask them, hey, we're projected maybe to open in 1 week or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever it is for your country. Ask them, if we opened in 3 weeks right now, which of these camps would you be in? Definitely coming, definitely not, or maybe not sure, you'll see how it goes. Number two then is to look at your space considerations and plan out how you're going to do the workouts with probably up to 10 people per time, and make sure you create designated workouts where they hold onto that equipment and don't pass it around. And number 3, step up the safety and hygiene measures at your gym, and don't forget to promote that and tell people what you're doing to show them that you care about their safety. And that's kind of like an overview. These are kind of the basics in place. Once you know the exact specifics of the reopening protocols in your area, then you can start thinking about marketing, promotions, campaigns. I've seen a lot of Fit Pros already who are already like running pre-sale offers on their next like 6-week challenge or whatever, and they're pre-selling their new gym memberships. The problem with that, I don't like to do that because we don't even know when that's going to be for definite. And then we don't even know how many people you can actually take, right? And the problem is if you pre-sell a bunch of 6-week challenges or 4-week challenges to new people, well, what about your current clients, right? What are you going to do at that point? So Sarah says here, Bloomberg said the UK won't be opening back up until there's a vaccine, and that's looking like next year. That's a possibility. I don't think so, to be honest. I think that's just more scaremongering. I really don't take much of my information from the news because I think it's all hyped. It's overhyped. It's scaremongering. It's the news make money on negative fear-based headlines. They've probably said like there's maybe a chance it won't open until there's a vaccine, but that's enough for them to make a news story out of it and make everyone panic even more. But gyms in America are opening. Some of them are opening from next week, and so I think there'll be a kickoff effect when that happens, and people start seeing gyms somewhere else open. They'll start demanding locally. Well, when's ours going to open? And I think the public will get its way in the end to some degree. So guys, that's 3 stages for you right now. Let me know what you think of those tips. If you have any other tips or strategies you're going to use for your reopening, let me know below in the comments. Tell me all about them, and let's have a good discussion around this. Have a great day, and I'll catch up with you again live later on today.